Let's talk to Dizzy in California. Dizzy, you're live with Eric and V.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What would you like to talk
I'm
about?
an atheist.
Okay.
Well, I'm an atheist, and my family has an evangelical church.
Ooh.
And I can't decide if it's revenge or is it ethical, I guess is the question, to want to go to church still, just to be there to ask, like, questions, just to promote critical thinking and promote atheism way, but not necessarily.
Yeah. Honestly?
Like still attending church as an atheist ethical?
Ooh, I love that question.
Ethical question. Okay. Yeah, that shifted things a bit.
Yeah.
Ooh, that totally depends on your ethics. So first off, just pragmatically, you're not going to get pats on the back from people there for doing it.
Yeah.
There is a social cost to doing something like that. But if it's, gosh, there's so many levels to that, because I'm also thinking about the stereotype of the angry atheist, and how you're presenting yourself and how you want people to see atheists.
I would say it also depends on kind of church. If it's an evangelical church where they go out to other groups and try and turn them into Christians, then I would feel more ethically sound going to their church than maybe a Mennonite or a Methodist or a Lutheran church that isn't about, the
But why?
Because if it's fair
turnabout's fair play.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like that as a moral system.
But if they dislike it, then they would, well, do you not like it when someone who doesn't share your worldview invades your personal space and asks you questions?
I get the teaching them a lesson part. I just don't know if I can ethically ground that for myself.
Well, here's this is going to go on a tangent, isn't it?
By the way, these are the conversations V and I handled.
Exactly. I felt myself falling into argue with Eric about morality moments. No, here's the thing. They have already determined that in their ethical structure, doing that is okay. So if you are entering into that arena, you have to play by their rules, and their rules suggest that doing that is okay. Otherwise, it's special pleading.
Well, but I think they are special pleading.
So we get them to notice that. Sorry. Continue, Dizzy. I'm so sorry. We're getting off on a tangent. It was a good question.
It is. And V and I are probably going to continue this after the show because this sounds like way too much fun.
It's basically, angry atheist does, fit the bill, I suppose. I've internalized most of it. I suppose, trying to keep it inside. When I go to church, I still attend and I sit quietly and try and be as respectful as I possibly can be, because I think about times when I was in church and really involved that I wish there was somebody there that didn't quite believe and was willing to ask brave questions like, why is this way? Or, why would an omnipotent God do that type thing? Like, I wish that had been posed to me when I was in youth group or something like that. So I can't stop thinking about doing that sort of thing, just quietly on the side.
Well, I will tell you, in my experience, I tried calling my pastor to maybe create a relationship where I could do that kind of thing. And just the very thought of critically questioning or critically looking at things caused yelling and hanging up on his end.
Oh, gosh.
And
there's the other part here, too, which is, if you go to a church and ask questions, they are going to take that as an opportunity to proselytize to you. They are going to think that, this is my in. I get to tell this person, I get to evangelize to this person. Yeah. So if you're okay with that and okay with moving those conversations into a critical space and engage in more street epistemology type conversation, then I think ultimately, we're having this fun, meta ethical conversation about whether or not it's acceptable. And I think we disagree on this, but ultimately for this call, for what you're asking, it comes down to you. And if you are no longer in an angry phase, which you can be if you would like to be, if you feel that's still necessary, absolutely, that is a viable option. if you are no longer angry and you feel like you have a good enough grasp on these conversations to go and have them with people, you should go and have them with people. If you feel like that will make you feel better, if you feel like maybe there are some people in your church who really need this kind of back and forth and you want to provide that to them, absolutely, I think that's what you should do. But you should make sure that you are in a headspace emotionally and just mentally to be able to handle that and to be able to handle a lot of pushback and backlash because of it. So I remember when I first started challenging everything, I was still a Christian, but I was a very progressive liberal Christian who at that point was mostly in name only. And I would get into these conversations with street preachers, with those like sandwich board, the
end is coming.
Like they're all over Portland.
Oh no.
But I would get into these arguments and get stumped, and then walk away feeling like an idiot. Walk away feeling like I had, damaged the cause in some way because I just wasn't ready for it yet. And I would either get emotionally flustered or they would come at me with a topic I hadn't thought about yet. And so I foundered and there's so if you are doing this for catharsis and you think you can handle it and you think that people would actually benefit from it, I'd say you could easily make an ethical case for it. If you are doing it out of a sense of obligation or you don't know if you're ready for it or it's coming from a place of spite, then I would say maybe wait a bit, think about it, consider it, and maybe do it when you're ready.
And I think the only way you could ethically justify it is if you took it that if nobody ever listened to you and all you ever got was shit for it, is it still something you would be doing for you? Because if it's not, then you could be setting yourself up for some heartbreak.
It's my family's church, so everybody there knows I'm an atheist.
Okay. Then if going is you doing it for you and you feeling good about it, then go for it. If you're doing it because you have the goal of maybe helping certain people and they don't get helped, let me tell you, down the road, it's going to hurt. And I would hate for you to have that hurt.
Right.
No, I don't have specific people in mind. It just happens that, like, that's the way it is. But I feel like I've gotten past the point where having a conversation with a theist could, ruin my day. I mean, what ruins my day when talking to a theist is that there's so many of them, and how can we come to, regress towards like the mean in terms of how to structure our society or whatever. But I'm prepared to talk with people because I spent 10 to 15 years proselytizing and doing all that weird.
I have an idea.
I think we may have hit on the same thing.
When you go and do it, call back and tell us what happens. Because I
went to church this morning. I certainly got a fun look from my family pastor.
Oh, damn it.
Really, the sermons always inspire me towards, I need to write something, I need to talk about this, because it was very much a guilt-trippy type sermon today, and that's what bothers me. What I'm bothered by is that everybody in that room is leaving feeling guilty, and that they need to spend more time talking to Jesus, and they need to give up all this stuff, like you said, and, I'm not praying enough. That's where I feel like, if I was to walk out and talk to people after that sermon, I would say, how did you feel about that? That made me feel kind of guilty and weird, just kind of at that kind of place, just to see what people thought of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been playing around with the idea of going to a church just so I could, because there's this thing where I haven't been so long that I think I'm not full. I think I've hyperbolized it in my head a little bit.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm never doing that, never charactering as somebody else and like stereotyping them. And so on the one hand, yes, but also again, I think this is where I was going with this is if you feel compelled to, I don't know, for me, it's a lot of making up for or undoing the work I did as a Christian, like trying to convert people. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Especially if for 15 years you were doing that, like I can understand the desire to be like, I need to undo this. I need to do as much as I can. A good way to do this and to actually sorry, go ahead.
And like I did it all around the country in like rehabilitation homes and like foster homes and youth homes. So I'm feeling it. I'd like to do some more doing and go about this ethically. Well, I could write a book and maybe some atheists will read it and feel inspired, but why not just go to the church where I grew up and speak with the people who know me and are telling me, you know Jesus?
You know what you can do, though, and this is something that I would highly recommend anybody who's listening do. You can reach out to Recovering from Religion, and you can become a volunteer. And what that will do is either via chat or via phone, you can talk with people who are deconverting or who are struggling with a religious problem, who have called you, and you can be that voice for them. And it won't be with people you know, most likely. And it might not scratch that, like, that itch of, oh, I'm confronting the people who know me and who have this preconceived notion of who I am. But I think if I were to pick a way to use your experience in talking with strangers about important topics and not undo or make up for, because I think that can be dangerous language, but, you know, use that for good, I guess, would be to volunteer with Recovering from Religion and have those conversations with people who really need to hear it from somebody who has that experience and that empathy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm studying clinical psychology at the moment, and I don't want to be a therapist. I got to the point where it felt like I was being indoctrinated again. So I was like, oh, no, I need to be an individual. But it's something like that is storming. How can I resolve my need to still talk about religion and how important it is for our society and what have you? And
hopefully,
make input. I put this together.
I was going to say, hopefully some of those suggestions help. And thank you for calling in.
Yeah, I think that's a great start.
Thank you. We're glad.
Yeah.
Take care.